Welcome to an alternate past. Today's video is, what if the American Civil War had a different outcome? Imagine waking up in a world where the United States is divided into two separate nations, the Union and the Confederate States of America. That's the shocking reality we could be living in if the American Civil War had a different outcome. The ripple effects of such a split would not just have changed the political landscape of North America, but could have been felt worldwide for generations. If the Confederacy had won the Civil War, slavery would have remained intact in the southern states for an extended period. Millions of African Americans would have continued to live in brutal conditions, deprived of their freedom and dignity. The international condemnation that followed the Emancipation Proclamation wouldn't have existed, and the Southern economy would have continued to rely on this horrifying institution. These human rights violations would have been a stain on the global conscience. Imagine the economic repercussions of a Confederate victory. The Southern economy was heavily dependent on agriculture and would likely have remained so, failing to industrialize at the same pace as the North. The economic disparity between the agrarian South and the industrial North would have widened drastically, potentially leading to economic instability and greater poverty within the Confederacy. Trade dynamics with Europe and other countries would have shifted dramatically. Would Great Britain and France have recognized the Confederate States, reshaping international alliances and trade routes? Now consider the long-term political implications of a divided United States. The Union might have had to adopt a more aggressive foreign policy to counteract the influence of the Confederate States. This could have led to multiple military confrontations between the North and South, similar to the divided Korea or Vietnam scenarios of the 20th century. Imagine the amount of resources diverted into an ongoing state of military preparedness instead of technological and social advancements. The abolitionist movement, a cornerstone for human rights, would have been severely weakened. The Confederate victory would have emboldened those who believed in racial hierarchy and possibly delayed civil rights advancements by decades, if not centuries. We might not have seen the end of segregation or the civil rights movement as we know it. Figures such as Martin Luther King Jr. might have never emerged, leaving an indelible void in the fight for equality and justice. Consider the global implications. If a divided United States became weaker, it's possible that Nazi Germany or Imperial Japan might have faced less resistance during World War II. Would a fractured America have had the same military strength to participate in a global conflict or to aid in the liberation of concentration camps and the defeat of Axis powers? The geopolitical orientation of the 20th century might have been unrecognizable. Looking closer to home, the cultural identity of America would be significantly different. Celebratory holidays like the 4th of July would bear different meanings or cease to exist. Shared experiences and national pride might have been replaced by regionalism and divisive sentiments. The civil liberties and constitutional rights that many Americans hold dear today could be vastly altered. There would be a perpetual state of what could have been, affecting every citizen's sense of belonging and identity. The Reconstruction era, which was fraught with challenges even in our current timeline, might have been non-existent, further deepening the racial and regional divides. The Confederate victory would have legitimized the philosophy of states' rights to a degree that might have fundamentally altered the federal structure of governance. States might have pursued more radical, self-serving policies, amplifying sectionalism and weakening national unity. The advancements in technology, spurred by a unified America during the 20th century, would likely be staggered. There would be no NASA as we know it, potentially leaving space exploration in the hands of other nations. The financial capacity to invest in massive projects like the interstate highway system, Social Security, or public health initiatives could have been severely hampered, impacting millions of lives. In the end, the cultural realm would have been deprived of significant influence. Hollywood, music, literature, all facets of American soft power that have shaped global culture could have looked drastically different. The dream of one nation, indivisible, might have ended in a graveyard of lost opportunities and unfulfilled potential. The stakes of the Civil War were incredibly high. It wasn't just about two different economic systems or political ideologies, but about the soul and future trajectory of an entire nation. The next time you think about the phrase, "what if?" remember that the answer could have been a world bearing little resemblance to the one we know today. So, as we close this harrowing exploration of an alternate history, understand the stakes and the monumental impact of the Union's victory. Though the road has been far from perfect, the unification of the United States under a single banner has undeniably shaped a better, more unified world than the alternative ever could have.